Hi, I'm Grant.
And I'm Rajiv.
And we're from Carmel High School. Today we're presenting to you our valuation of AstraZeneca, which we believe is a buy. Our target price is $89.11, representing an 18.9% upside from the price of AstraZeneca on March 23rd, which was $74.93.
But what is AstraZeneca? AstraZeneca is a biopharmaceutical company located in Cambridge, and they focus on 5 different sectors: oncology, CVRM, rare disease, respiratory and immunology, and V&I. And they're solely focused on research and development, or R&D, with 12 global R&D centers and over 100 ongoing projects. They focus on precision medicine, and they implement AI to cut short their cycle.
They have sales in over 130 countries with over 90,000 employees spread out across 5 different continents. They have 11 circulating oncology projects, and they also have their top sales from the UK, US, and China. Their top approved products include Farxiga, Tagrisso, Imfinzi, Lynparza, and Symbicort, with an obvious emphasis on oncology. Furthermore, they have over 100 developing projects, with the leading projects including Volrustomig, AZD0780, and Datraway, with 19 oncology treatments in their phase 3 stage.
Now let's look at the industry. The oncology industry is highly competitive and highly secretive, but it's growing rapidly with over 12% growth in the last year. In the biopharmaceutical company, it's very common to collaborate with different companies to improve the efficiency and speed of medicine production. And finally, the rare disease has a lot of incentives due to the FDA. So all 3 of these different industries have high potential growth. Now, let's look at their investment thesis. First, their unique R&D approach include joint academic collaborations, and they utilize a multi-model strategy, meaning they implement a different strategy that's tailored to a different medicine to improve the efficiency they produce that specific medicine. And recently, they've invested in China investments and have put down $2.5 billion in Beijing R&D development, showing their commitment to R&D.
Next, we believe that their pipeline strengths will outweigh the upcoming patent expirations. For example, they have about 31 oncology treatments in their stage 2 and stage 3 development of their clinical trials. And also, we believe that AI will greatly shorten the lifespan of the R&D cycle, accelerating growth. Furthermore, AstraZeneca has a wide competitive moat, which we will get to very soon, which further increases the reasoning behind an 18.9% upside.
And their implementation of AI cuts short the time necessary to implement a drug.
AstraZeneca boasts a wide competitive moat with large diversification across a bunch of different business sectors, along with a unique oncology positioning with tons of investment into R&D, AI manufacturing with oncology. And finally, they are an economy of scale as input costs go down as their entire business grows. Furthermore, there is an insignificant bargaining power of suppliers and also insignificant threat of new entrants, a low threat of substitutes and bargaining power of customers, and there is moderate competition with companies such as Roche and Novo Nordisk.
Now let's look at their main revenue drivers. First, their tangible assets are selling their treatments to different entities such as governments or hospitals. And their intangible assets are patents and IP protection and overall investment into their R&D. Let's analyze their financials. After analyzing their financials, we found that their commitment to R&D is major. First, let's look at their income statement. We saw a revenue growth of over 100% since 2020, showing a strong rebound from COVID-19. Furthermore, after their acquisition of Alexion in 2021, we saw a major growth in their EBITDA from that time period, showing how all their investments return a large ROI that pays themselves off. Furthermore, in 2024 alone, they spent over $13.5 billion on just R&D, and they had minor expenditures of $20.2 billion, showing their commitment to R&D and investment. Furthermore, after analyzing their balance sheet, we saw that shareholder equity increased by over doubled, and receivable growths were on par with revenue growth. Although their debt remains high, this is just due to their commitment to R&D and their constant investments. Finally, their cash flow showed a strong it was very strong, but was net negative due to their constant acquisitions of different companies such as Blackthorn and Teneo One, which just proves that their commitment to R&D is major.
Next, looking at some key financial ratios of AstraZeneca, the EBITDA margin stands out in the 84th percentile, reflecting strong operational performance. Furthermore, AstraZeneca has a book value of 6.19, along with an EV over EBITDA of 16.7x, representing that investors have tons of confidence in the intangible assets of AstraZeneca and the future growth of the R&D pipeline. Furthermore, we used an SOTP, or sum of the parts analysis, which is a relative analysis which compares different parts of the business segment in relation to industry averages with other competitors. We assumed that AstraZeneca will have a 20x target multiple for its oncology growth rate in the estimation of 2025 due to its large number of developing R&D developments in oncology, including 19 stage 3 treatments and 50 total treatments. This will outperform the average of 15 to 18x. Furthermore, we assume an 18x target multiple for rare disease due to the Alexion acquisition, leading to a very high ROI in that segment. Our optimism is backed by the heavy AI investment, which we will get to soon, along with the strength of the R&D pipeline.
Now, some of the investment risks come due to the fact of their large global standing. First, geopolitical tensions can affect their overall output. And if they fail to meet regulatory requirements, they can have their drug rescinded.
Furthermore, there are some major risks associated with patent expirations, including Brilinta, Fisrena, Lynparza, and Farxiga, which brought in a total revenue of $13.5 billion in 2024. However, this is softened by the IP protections that AZN offers, with its strong R&D pipeline. Furthermore, there are some risks associated with Forex and also the failure or delay of pipeline.
Now let's talk about their ESG. This is very strong. First of all, their environment. They have 3 different initiatives which aim to reduce overall emissions and energy outwaste. Finally, next, their social, which includes inclusion and diversity, and their employee safety features. Finally, their governance. They have a board diversity in place, which allows them to have difference of thought, and they restrict themselves with a tight code of ethics and values.
AstraZeneca implements its AI into its R&D to shorten its R&D life cycle. This is backed by the 6 major R&D AI projects currently, which include the AIDA in cardiovascular trials, small molecule designs, BEF target identification, clinical trial optimization, biomarker discovery, and finally, manufacturing predictively.
AI also helps the company with environmental efficiency. First of all, this advances their ambition, zero carbon, which helps them limit emissions, and also this helps them optimize their energy usage. Finally, implementing it in the workplace helps them drive workforce innovation, and they've used in place an ethical AI usage in their code of conduct.
Furthermore, their AI projects with R&D shorten the life cycle in half, with a typical stage lasting 10 to 15 years. We utilize sum of the parts over DCF, as sum of the parts is a relative valuation segment which analyzes each individual business segment. That way it takes into account fluctuations within each segment, with oncology being separated from the other segments, whereas DCF doesn't do a really good job taking into account specific treatments and success and failure with clinical trials, as it takes into account more assumed and long-term growth rates.
And this graph just shows how AZN has outperformed the S&P 500 by over 17% in the past 3 months. And this graph shows how in the past 10 years, AZN has outperformed the top pharmaceutical ETF by over 80%.
A big thanks goes out to our investor relations who helped us with this project, Nick Pan and Sanjay Goel.
These field professionals helped us find confidence in our research and our findings. This is why we say AZN is a buy for the next year.
Thank you so much for listening to our presentation.